All right, guys, we start week number 2 of this distance learning stuff. Some easy stuff today. Let's see. Okay, if you have an inscribed angle and it subtends a semicircle, then it has to be a right angle. Now, this makes complete sense. Okay, you figure if I take, for instance, this angle here, okay, notice that it's inscribed, number one, because the vertex, okay, is on the circle, okay, and so notice that its intercepted arc is 180 degrees. Okay, so we know that every inscribed angle has an angle measure that is half the measure of its intercepted arc. So when you go 180 degrees and you divide by 2, okay, that obviously is going to give you 90 degrees. Okay, so if we have any inscribed angle that subtends a semicircle, that means its intercepted arc has to be 180 degrees. Well, that inscribed angle has to be a right angle. Okay, and so this makes a lot of sense. It's pretty easy to work with, I'll be honest with you. Okay, quick video today. Okay, pretty easy stuff. Okay, so let's see. We've got a circle. Okay, we have a diameter. Okay, segment BD certainly is a diameter. We're supposed to assume that point C is the center. Okay, and then notice I have an inscribed angle, angle BAD. Okay, it's inscribed because that vertex is on the circle. And notice that it subtends, okay, a diameter, which is the same as saying it subtends a semicircle. So that means that has to be a 90-degree angle. That has to be 90 degrees. Okay, notice I also have another inscribed angle here, angle BED. It's inscribed because its vertex is on the circle. And notice again, it subtends a diameter, which is the same as saying it subtends a semicircle. Okay, so this has to be 90 degrees as well. Okay, now it wants me to find the measure of all 6 angles in the 2 triangles and the measure of all arcs. Okay, so let's start with this triangle on top. And notice that I have the measure of one of the arcs right here, arc AB. But notice that that arc AB is subtended by angle ADB. And angle ADB is an inscribed angle. So right here, that inscribed angle has to have half the measure of its intercepted arc. Okay, and so we would take 60 pesos, divide by 2. So obviously we're going to get 30 pesos. Okay, so this is 30 pesos here. Okay, we're using the triangle sum theorem. Okay, I would go 180 minus the 90 minus the 30. Okay, and so obviously I'm going to get 60 degrees. Okay, so this has to be 60 pesos. Okay, now you say, does that make sense? Well, notice that this 60-degree angle, angle ABD, is again an inscribed angle, and notice that it's subtended by arc AD. Okay, so the measure of the arc that subtends an inscribed angle has to be twice the measure of the angle. So right up here, okay, we know we would go 60 pesos times 2, so that's going to give us 120 pesos. And then if you look at arc BAD, notice that's a semicircle. So it has to give you a grand total of 180 degrees, and 60 degrees plus 120 degrees is 180 degrees. So we're in good shape. Okay, so that takes care of everything up here with this right triangle and all of the arcs. Now we come down here. Okay, and we say, okay, well, I have this 100-degree arc, and notice that it is subtended by angle DBE, okay, and angle DBE is an inscribed angle because, again, the vertex is on the circle. So the measure of the inscribed angle has to be half the measure of the intercepted arc. So right here, okay, I'm going to have to go 100 divided by 2. And obviously that's going to give me 50 pesos. Okay, so this angle has to be 50 degrees. Okay, and so this guy right here, if we use the triangle sum theorem, that'd be 180 minus the 90 minus the 50. So it looks like I'm going to get 40 pesos right here. Okay, and so we say, okay, does that make sense? Well, let's take a look. Okay, notice that this angle BDE is 40 degrees, and it's also an inscribed angle. And notice that it's subtended by arc BE. So that means this arc right here has to be 2 times the measure of the inscribed angle. So if we go 2 times 40 pesos, obviously we're going to get 80 pesos. So this guy has to be 80 pesos. And then notice right here, notice that arc BED is a semicircle, which has to have a total of 180 degrees. And notice using a little bit of arc addition, we do get 180 degrees. So we should feel pretty good about that guy. Relatively easy to do. Let's take a look at one more. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. Okay, I've got a circle. I should assume that C is the center. Okay, notice that we have segment BD. Okay, that is a diameter. So it splits it up into 2 semicircles. Okay, so notice that angle BAD subtends a semicircle. Okay, so that means this has to be a right angle. So that's 90 pesos. And notice that angle BED subtends a semicircle as well. So that has to be a right angle as well. Okay, so that's 90 degrees. Okay, so let's see what we got going on. Okay, so if we look at arc BAD, that is a semicircle. Okay, so if arc AD is 90 degrees, over here, we'd have to go 180 minus 90, okay, to get the measure of arc AB. So this has to be 90 degrees. Okay, so if we look in here and in here, okay, these 2 acute angles in this right triangle up above, notice that this inscribed angle, angle ADB, is subtended by a 90-degree arc. And this angle right here, angle ABD, which is also inscribed, is subtended by a 90-degree arc. Okay, so the measure of the inscribed angle is half the measure of the intercepted arc. So we'd go 90 divided by 2 to get 45 pesos. 45 pesos. And we do the same thing over here, 90 divided by 2 to get 45 pesos. 45 pesos. So we've got obviously a 45, 45, 90, one of our special right triangles. And clearly 45 plus 45 plus 90 is 180. So it certainly satisfies the triangle sum theorem. Okay, so that takes care of everything here up above. Now we'll just come down here down below. Okay, so I have this arc BE, which is 77 degrees. And notice that it is subtended by inscribed angle BDE. So the measure of the inscribed angle has to be half the measure of the intercepted arc. So this guy right here, we just have to go 77 divided by 2. And obviously that's not going to come out evenly, which is no big deal. Okay, 77 divided by 2, I'm getting 38.5 pesos. 38.5 pesos. So this angle in here, angle BDE, is 38.5 pesos. All right, so if we look right here, the other acute angle, okay, notice that I have 2 of the angles in this right triangle, so I can just subtract them from 180 using the triangle sum theorem. So 180 minus 90 minus the 38.5. Okay, and 180 minus 90 is 90. So if I just go 90 minus 38.5, I'm going to get 51.5 pesos. So this angle should be 51.5 pesos. Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so we take a look here. I have this last arc, and notice that arc DE is subtended by angle DBE, which is an inscribed angle. So the measure of the intercepted arc would be twice the measure of the inscribed angle. So right here, I would just have to go 2 times 51.5. Okay, so if I multiply that by 2, okay, I'm going to get 103 paces. So this has to be 103 degrees. And then we look at arc BED, that's a semicircle, so it has to have 180 degrees. So if we look at 77 plus 103, you get 180 degrees. So we're in good shape. Okay, that's it. Quick video today. Real easy stuff. Okay, I'll be uploading more videos this week. You guys stay safe. Miss you a whole bunch.